So we got the patch notes for 11.7, and we're going to check those out. We did not get to the Northern Realms card reveals, unfortunately, but they're coming out later today, and I'm going to be busy, and then the patch comes out tomorrow. So unfortunately, probably won't get to the reaction video to those, but do what we could. Anyway, let's get on to the patch notes here for 11.7 and see what we got going on. We got the new cards from Tide Rises, some changing to existing cards. Okay, that's what we want to see. There's usually some changes to help out the new archetypes. So I'm curious to see how much we've got. New keywords, Might, Vice, Spring got changed, and neutrals. Oh, what a surprise. We have Spring Equinox. What do we have? Spring Equinox, Doomed. Okay, so you can't sim loss this thing with Alyssa. And boost an allied unit by 0. Increase the boost by 1 for each nature card in your deck other than Equinox. So it's Doomed, and it caps at 10 instead of 12. Well, this is probably going to kill that deck. You can still certainly use Equinox in Symbiosis, and I kind of want to see I kind of like Symbiosis being Devotion with Ethne, but the fact that Equinox was so strong that you couldn't do that was pretty insane. Well, it was like just not viable in comparison. But anyway, this is a solid big nerf to Spring Equinox. Still can play for 10 if you want to put a bunch of natures in your deck. So if you're playing Symbiosis, it'll play for 11 because you get the Symbiosis ping from Nature's Gift. But not ping, but like 1 boost token. So this is a pretty solid nerf to the card. It still has a decent ceiling though, so people might still play it, but it's not playing for 13 and recycling for finishers anymore. You can still play 2 with Simloss as a finisher. You just can't Alyssa them back into your deck. Monsters. So we've got, okay, cool, a Goliath change. Kind of figured they'd do something to help out Might. Power from 10 to 12. So he's 12 for 7 with that Death Wish. Yeah, 10 for 7, he was like kind of power crept. So this is pretty good. 10 for 12. 12 might actually see play in the Ogre decks we're going to try out. We've got Jotun. Power from 3 to 1. Jotun was like the Rat Clog payoff card. Power from 3 to 1. Provision cost from 6 to 8. Okay, so we have a 1 for 8. And it boosts self by the total base power of Ice Giants in your starting deck. Oh, that's cool. So if we have 2 Ice Giants, this is a 15 for 8. That is really big. But then you have to play Ice Giants, which are 7 for 5s. And that's not very good. But they can fit in the Ogroid deck. They are Ogroids. And actually being incentivized to include the Ice Giants means the Ogroid Warrior, is it? The one that has the Might. That goes to 10, and the timer reduces by the number of Ogroids in your hand. Having more Ogroids makes that easier. And being able to play a 15 right off the bat with this thing, if you have the 2 Ice Giants in your deck. And it's starting deck, not deck, so if you draw the Ice Giants, it doesn't mess it up. So yeah, this, I think, is actually really good. It goes 15 for 8 on deploy. It's pretty big. Helps out with the Might conditions. It's really good play. I like these 2. Jotun we're definitely going to be trying out. Cyclops. I like Cyclops. 4 to 5. Okay, so he plays at 5 for 5 with the Destroy effect. Well, damage effect. Destroys your guy, damages the enemy. I like this. Cyclops, well, it was like 4 for 6 at some point. Now it's 4 for 5. Now it's 5 for 5. I like Cyclops. It's a pretty solid removal card. I'm not sure how much you'll see play in the actual Ogroid decks, but having a way to remove things is pretty important. And the fact that you can be really flexible with it is nice. So sometimes you have to overkill. Sometimes you might have to kill like an 8 of your own to destroy a 6 of the enemies, but having that removal access is pretty important. So hopefully we can see some Cyclops plays. Maybe we'll even find him back in Death Wish. We can throw the Death Wish cards at the opponents. Then we've got Ice Trolls. Ice Troll's the last one here for monsters. Power from 4 to 5. Armor from 0 to 2. So it's a 5 with 2 armor. Then Might at the end of your turn boost self by 1. So we're going away from the if you have less units than the opponent. That's what Jotun originally was, and that's also what Ice Troll was, right? The opponent had more, you got something. But looks like we're not doing that anymore. We're going with the Might instead. Makes sense. 2 armor, 5 power. This is a really hard to remove engine, actually. You just essentially need 7 damage to kill off Ice Troll. This might actually be pretty good then. You need that Might setup, which means you need 2 cards, 1 in each row with a 10. Might be too hard to set up. We'll see. If the meta is extremely damage dependent, it might be hard to set up. If it's not, then you can set it up. Like if everyone's playing, for example, raid decks or bomb decks, you're never going to trigger Might. So I think that depends on how good the Ogroid deck is with the Might, but just solid point slam is still not bad. And going on to Skellige. Croc on Crate now has the Warrior tag. Oh, that's cool. Will he see play based on that in a different deck other than Pirates? Probably not. But you could. Maybe you want to make a Warrior Raid ship deck without the Pirates. Like, use some of the new ships. But they have good Pirate synergy, so I don't think so. But yeah, that's interesting. Wild Boar this year, 4 to 6. Okay, good. Wild Boar this season has been power crept for a very, very long time. At 6 power, you can still get some decent value out of it. Not sure we'll have it see play, but it does have some good synergies with some of the new cards. The one that like damages itself by its base power, then pings out all the damage on enemies. And the is it Raiding Fleet? It might be Raiding Fleet or Naval Supremacy, I think is what it is. It goes in the graveyard and it damages the next 13 things that are played by one, essentially. So you can have some good combos with Wild Boar to see in the new cards. So hopefully we might actually try that out then. We got Armor Smith. Oh no, I said on-crate Armor Smith was the worst of the on-crate cards in the Skellige card reveal video. We're going to have to take that back now. What's it do? 5 provisions now. Boost an allied unit by the amount of armor and the highest armor unit in your hand. Yeah, we got to take that back. This is actually really good. So, at the end of the game, sometimes you have like a Morkvarg or something, a Corsair, something that's been in your hand since the beginning. Sometimes it's even a Seagull. Like 12 or 15 armor on it. And this just plays as it's a 2 power card, so it plays as 2 and then boosts by like 15, 17 for 5. Yeah, that's good. So I think you're really incentivized to hold on to those. And stuff like Terror of the Seas, you're doing that with anyway. Like, it's not that uncommon to get Terror of the Seas up to like 20 armor. If you're playing against Self Wound, I mean, the sky's the limit, but you can do some insane stuff then with Armor Smith. Definitely think you might include it then. I have to take back saying it's the worst one, but we didn't know because it got to change. Greatsword. Oh, Greatsword as Veteran. That's a big deal, actually. So in round 3, Greatsword's a 12. So it plays as a 6 with its damage self by 6. And then it's a lot harder to remove. So one of the problems with Greatsword is you're playing it to heal it, right? If you play it at a 4, it just pretty much always dies. But at a 6, not necessarily. So that's interesting. It also means Yutta's a 12, right? This is a 12 in round 3 of King Brand's a 13. So I suspect Yutta's just getting replaced in every deck Yutta's played in. For, what's the one that sends to the graveyard and damages? The one that synergizes with Ice. I don't remember the name, but you know which one I'm talking about. I think she's just getting replaced by Greatsword. It's a provision cheaper, and by round 3, when you usually want to use Iced anyway, it's the same value, unless you're playing King Brand, in which case it's bigger, and it costs 1 less provision. So I suspect we might see Yutta replaced, but Greatsword's pretty good now, I think. The Highland Warlord added a VFX to the deploy. Yeah, that's good. As much as I don't like seeing the card deployed 5 times a game, or 4 times a game, because it's not that much fun playing against raids. But yeah, it should have one, I think. Oh, Northern Realms. Queen Meave has Aristocrat. Interesting. We got a nice little Nilfgaard buff here. And we have ability change to deploy reduce timer by 1 for each adjacent inspired ability unit. Okay, so it's timer 3. You play this next to 2 inspired cards. It goes to timer 1. And then it gets a point. This still resets the timer with the timer 3. This seems quite good. So we play this, reduces the timer by 1, timer goes to 1, immediately triggers the boost all units effect. And then it goes back to timer 3 again. Whenever this unit gets a boost, it gains an armor. Okay, maybe Queen Meave's got something then. Maybe she's got something going on here. You can play more of a finisher. Like, Queen Meave was a problem because you needed the swarm really early, so she'd had enough time to boost everything by 1 or 2. But being able to boost it right away, potentially in that first turn you play, is pretty good. It allows you to play her as a finisher if you need to, right? There's 2 inspired cards. You're like 10 guys out there. You just play Queen Meave. She's a 7, I believe, and then you just set plus 10. That's not bad. And you can always play her earlier and try and get this off 2 or 3 times. So it's a nice buff to Queen Meave. All other queens and kings, including Ildiko, have Aristocrat tag. Nice, we got a bunch of Nilfgaard buffs here. I'm only half kidding. Nilfgaard loves to play aristocrats with ball and stuff. And being able to make more copies of them, especially if they're opponents' ones, it's nice. But the kings and queens, don't know how well they synergize necessarily with Nilfgaard. But you can trigger a ball with them or something. Scoia'tael, Spring got changed. Manual activation, Spring automatic triggers if you play next to another artifact. It means you have to play units with traps or else they just spring automatically. Oh, Hatiori, what do we got? Power from 2 to 6. 6 for 6. Okay, what do we got going on here? So no more duplicating traps. I guess this is because the new traps have really good value. They don't want you making extra copies of them. Ability change to whenever you play an artifact, boost the lowest powered ally by 3. This is a really good potential engine. Say you play 5. Like 5 traps is not that hard in the long round. And that's 15 points. It makes this a 21 for 6. This is like a half the remove engine card. Then again, if you don't have any traps, it's not great. Like, well, honestly, if you have 2 traps, 12 for 6 is amazing. Like, that's really good. So, with a ceiling of, like, way more. So, I think this is a card you definitely want to lock or remove. And it's definitely a card you want to include. Seems pretty good. In a trap deck, that is. Yorvith gained 2 power. Okay. So, we've got 6 power, and then he replays a trap. Or moves a trap to your hand, and then plays a trap, I believe. That's how it's actually written. So you can play the same one or a different one. This is a nice buff to him too. So it looks like we're getting some good trap buffs here. I don't see any changes to the actual trap cards themselves, but Yorvith's Gambit got something. Use 6 or more traps. You're starting deck. Play 2 of your choice. Okay, that's really nice. That's a nice buff. One of the problems with Gambit is you never nearly knew what traps you were going to get. Sometimes you just get like 2 crushing traps, and you're like, well, they only have 1 unit on the board, so these aren't going to do anything. Or sometimes you get 2 incinerating traps, and they like double trigger on a unit, and it's really awkward. So I like this change. It makes the Gambit way, way better. Figuring out 2 other traps of your choice. I think definitely might even play Gambit now, but overall, this is some good support to the traps. It makes you got some good support for the traps, good support for the new Skellige cards here, good support from the monsters cards. I'm guessing the Northern Realms might have something to do with aristocrats at this point, based on this, but we're not gonna have time to review them individually just to see when they come out. Nilfgaard, Ardfen. Oh wait, there's just one thing. Ardfen Heavy Cavalry 5 to 4. I mean, Heavy Cavalry is an interesting card. It's incredibly good if you Crystal Skull it in the melee row. But yeah, 4 provisions might actually. No one really played it though, so like, I like this buff. People didn't play it. Maybe they will now. It's an interesting one. It's kind of like Griffin Witcher, where if you get the Crystal Skull on it, it's absolutely insane. But if you don't, it's like fine. So I like Heavy Cavalry. I like how it moves. I like the synergies with it. Hopefully we can get some play out of it. Syndicate, no changes. Oh, well, that's awkward. No Syndicate changes. Thought we might get a couple cards changed to have Vice or something, but I guess not. Game fixes. Friendly challenges are functional in Steam. Stratagems will no longer play tricks on your eyes. Thank goodness. This was really annoying. Acid Spit no longer fails to spread. Okay, so that's the patch. Seems alright. Curious whether there's not any Syndicate changes, but it happens to every faction now and then, so it's not too big a deal. But yeah, so looks like we're going to be playing some of these new decks coming out. Probably try out Monsters with Cyclops first, or Ogroids first, and then see what we can do. And then I'm curious to see what the Northern Realms cards are. It's kind of sad that the reveals for them are so late, or so close to the release of the expansion. Don't really have time to review them before it comes out, but hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and hopefully let me know what you're going to play when this patch goes live, and we'll see what we're doing. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed, and we'll see you next time. That'll be it for this one, guys. Hope you enjoyed. We'll see you next time. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more, and you can check out some more videos over here. And thanks for watching.